Hi. Book repair. Tools, tips, and tricks. Hi, I'm Lucille Lovisi, and I took over Gary's channel for this video. I'm usually the Badinsky behind the camera, but
Now I could be.
Today I wanted to take this opportunity to bring you something that I actually have been working on a long time, and originally was going to be an article for Paperback Parade. I was working on this with a fellow collector and friend, Dan Roberts, who shared my enthusiasm for book repair. And we had two completely different opinions on a great many things, but we agreed that if you can do something to save something from the bin, save a book from the bin, then you should do it. Dan really believed that we were just custodians of books. He believed that we weren't owners of books. We were just custodians, and books were meant to be cared for and then passed on for other generations. And he seriously believed that. I mean, he told me one time he got into an argument with a dude on a plane because when he boarded, the guy was reading and he had the cover rolled behind the back, and this was a pet peeve of his, and he freaked out and started arguing with the guy, and he got so mad because the guy told him, "You're insane." And I was like, oh, Dan, I think I have to agree with the guy, but because my opinion is if I bought a book, it's my book. And I can hear him cringing from heaven. But yeah, sadly, Dan passed away, and I never really felt right about continuing that article without him. So I'm going to take this opportunity to just show you a few things. And at the end of the video, I'm going to show you two tricks. One is mine and one is Dan's that are technique only. You don't need any kind of artistic skill or anything to do them. Once you learn the technique, they're foolproof, and you can apply them in very many ways and get great results. But I'm going to start off with showing you my favorite tools that I use. I mean, I know many of us have purchased books in the past when someone took a magic marker to the edge of a book to try to fix the color on the page edges, and you see that bleeds right through everything, and you know, it drives me crazy when I see that. Don't ever use a magic marker on pulps. They're pulped because the paper is so pulpy, it's like a sponge and it absorbs. So I'm going to show you what I use to do book repair. I'm going to show you some samples of the books that I've repaired. I have photographs of them, and then I'm going to show you live a book on how to fix something. And so I guess let's get started with that, okay? What should I do first? Okay, first I want to show you, if you have any kind of artistic ability and you want to give this a shot, do not use your best book when you're doing this. I've been doing this many years, and it took trial and error to learn a lot of the tricks. But what I have learned is the best thing to use, no magic markers. You're going to find some watercolored pencils. These are pencils, they're colored pencils that you can use as regular colored pencils, but they're also water activated. So they become like a paint when they're activated with water. The beautiful thing about these is when a book cover splits or cracks, I'll show you in an example on here. Okay, we see this beautiful book, and it's, for whatever reason, cracks always appear in the worst possible place. I'm surprised it didn't go right through the girl's face. That's usually what happens. And no matter how beautiful, I mean, the book is not in really bad condition, but the first thing you see is this crack, okay? This crease is crazy. It drives me out of my mind. But this is the easiest thing to just fix with a few pencils, if you know what to do, to make it look, I would say, 75% better, okay? And the beauty of working with pencils that are activated by water is that in these cracks is white paper. The book covers tend to have a little bit of a sheen to it, which protects them. So I can actually use a pencil. The way I use these is I want a minimal amount of water. So I usually have a wet paper towel with me. Paper towel's wet. I just wet the tip of the pencil, and I'll go just over the line in the direction of whatever I see. Okay, you don't want to follow the line this way. because then you'll emphasize it. What you want to do is you want to go this way and de-emphasize the line. But what you can come back with is a little piece of tissue, and you can wipe off, even if it's a little bit damp, and whatever pencil is on the shiny part of the book will wipe off, and your color will stay only in that white crease, and it will diminish it. And this is what happens when you do that. This is the same book. This is the before and this is the after with just pencils. And you can see, if you look real close, you'll see that crack is still there. Can't get rid of the crack, but you can diminish that so that it's not the first thing you notice. And if you put this in a bag, you don't even see it. You won't really even see it, which is great. And so this saves this book, you know, visually, it looks like a much better conditioned book than it is. You can't take that crack out. It's still there, but it's not the first thing you notice anymore when you look at it. It's very simple to do.
And this is just for collectors.
This is
to
right, to fix a book. I'm not saying you could never, and that's another thing we used to talk about, Dan and I. He didn't want dealers to be able to fix a book and then sell it as a higher grade. But the reality is, you could never hide the fact that this book has this giant crack in it. It's not repairing the book. It's not restoring the book, I want to say. Like, if you've ever seen fine bindings, when they restore them, you can't even tell that they were touched if they're done right. They press the leather. They have all kinds of heat tools that will simulate the grain on the cover of the books, and you can't even tell. With a paperback, it's impossible to do that, except for the trick that I'm going to show you at the end, which is virtually undetectable. This, you will always see this crack. And you should do whatever you, I mean, I'm going to show you some more, okay? Another piece of advice is, if you do try this, take before photos. Because sometimes it's really hard for you to even remember all the things that you did to a book and how great you fixed it. So it's always best to take a before and an after, especially if you ever do it for someone else, to show them, because people are like, oh, you know, and like, don't you remember all the things that were wrong with this book? With Dan, another funny thing is that at first he didn't like me repairing books. He's like, no, I don't like you to do that, because he thought that dealers would have me do it, and then they would try to sell the book as a higher grade. Then we would go to book shows together, and then he would come over to me, and he would come with a book, and he'd say to me, can you do anything with this? I really like it, and it's a good price. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. I can fix that. I can do that. I can fix that. And sometimes I couldn't. If a book is rubbed, like what are those Canadian books? Yeah, the Harlequins, right? Okay, those books, like the overall surface of those books look like they were always crumbled. And they're not really creased. They're just worn in a weird way. There's nothing you can do with it. You can't do a rub, really. Unless you're going to repaint the whole book, which I've done, but I don't really advise that. The minimal amount that you can do to make something, to save a book from the bin, basically, and give it another life. Here, I'm going to show you this. This is ultimately the old sticker pull on this book. And again, when you look at this book, there's a couple of things wrong. There's a spot missing here, the little corner missing. But basically what you look at, also the reading crease. This is one of the easiest things that you can fix on a book with my pencils. Sometimes I use paint. If you're going to use paint, I'll show you the paint that you should use. But this is the before and after of this. And you can see I repainted in just the lines, tried to match the color as best I could. Down on the bottom, it's just black with a tiny bit of shading, which was easy. And the side here, and you can still see it, it's still there, but you don't notice it as much because the color has been filled in. Okay, a couple more examples. Okay, this is Gary's shadow book. This I was afraid to do because I know how important this book, he loved this book so much, and when he got it, you know, he was like, oh, it's got this big pull. He was just cranking about it, and I was like, if you want me to try and fix the type, I'll do it. And then eventually he was like, yeah, do it, because it was just driving him out of his mind. And this is the result of the after. This is in his collection, and I fixed the sticker pull here, and I touched up this redness, a little bit of the spine, and but this was the point of contention for him was right here, and you know, he was happy.
L.A. Bantam Shadow,
happy
very
about
rare
that.
book.
Okay, then I did this one. I painted in this one. If you want to step it up a level, and I'll show you, if you're gonna paint, these are the paints, acrylic, these are the ones that I use, and get yourself a set of brushes with teeny weeny thin, pointy, practically no brush. The smaller, the thinner, the better. You're dealing with, I mean, this is actual size of this book, and it's a tiny surface to work on, and really, really tiny surface. And if you can get yourself a magnifying light, that, you know, that helps too. But this one, I actually had to paint in his neck. Which was a challenge, and it helps to find an image. Nowadays, it's a lot easier than way back when I started this, like 20 years ago. You know, it was hard to find the images. Now, it's like, you know, they're everywhere. Here's another one. Okay, now this is an instance when this is actually not a sticker pull. This whole corner of the cover is missing, okay? It's gone. So like, how could I repair that? Well, you don't want to paint on the page underneath. So what I usually do is I'll just take a piece of plain computer paper, and I'll stick it underneath the first page of the book. And that's what I did here. And so actually this is a loose piece of paper underneath the cover, and I continued the cover on that. So, I mean, it didn't fix the book at all, but I did minimize the appearance when this book is in a bag. So this is actually just a loose piece of paper underneath the cover that sits in there, and I painted the corner of the paper, and the book is virtually untouched. Another sticker pull, huh?
Classic sticker pull.
Another classic sticker pull. And this is the after. This was difficult. You can't really see it. I don't know if you can see it here. You see it's a little bit wavy. This was a really rough pull, and the paper under here was really rough. And it was like tissue paper almost. I don't know what happened. Normally it's not like that, although this one was, I don't know why, it was so scraggly. This one, my toner cartridge was going. Again, it's fixing the, just so you don't see. This was also painted. This was not with pencils. Anytime you need a sharp edge, like in type, you're going to have to use paint and try to fix it that way if you can do that. And I suggest anytime if you're at a flea market, if you're at a boot sale, pick up a book. It doesn't have to be anything in your genre, anything you like. Just look at a book, see if it's in bad condition. Just pick it up. If you get it for a quarter, and you can use that as your tool. The more you do, the better off you're gonna be. This one was a challenge. This is Heed the Thunder. Right. And this is
Canadian Newsstand Library.
Yeah, and it's like wrinkled all over, but it has white lightning strikes on this cover, which looked like it was in worse condition than it was, because when I finally fixed it, I was like, wait a minute, these are on the book. This is a lightning strike. So this is partially where I use my black technique that I'm going to teach you, and I'm real excited to do that. So, and you can see just by simply just doing the edges and just blackening in the creases made this book like, you know, 75% 80% better than what it looked like. And you actually can see the girl and the guy. The guy's silhouette is almost lost in this because you're so concentrating on all the white cracks. Okay, so now this is the trick I'm going to show you. This is Callie, okay? See, I'm a true crime aficionado. If I read, I don't read much, but when I read, that's what I read. And for whatever reason, true crime books are primarily black covers. And it would drive me insane because the first time I get a book, I open it up and I'm reading, and now I have a white line down the side. I mean, these black books crack like crazy. And I was like, what the heck is going on? I don't know what's going on. I don't know if all books do that and you just only notice it with black.
It's always been on,
but they
on
drive me crazy. However, I found a secret to fix it. And it's easy and it takes no artistic ability, okay? This is the technique I'm telling you about. This is my trick on fixing books, and it doesn't even have to be books, I guess. If you have a box that's black and you want to fix the edges, okay? So the first thing I do is I lift up the cover, and you always want to protect the pages underneath, okay? A little bit, an ounce of prevention, right? I don't want to get anything on the pages. I just want to fix the cover, okay? Now, I took a picture of this book before so I can show it to you. This is my secret. These are China markers, okay? And they come in different companies make them. They're called China markers because they'll mark just about every surface, including China. A lot of times, storekeepers used to use this, and they would write the price of the item right on the item with this. And I know many book people have seen these big black grease stains on their books because old-time bookstores used to write on the cover with these. And the thing is, a lot of times, if you get this when it's fresh, you can just rub it off. Okay, you don't have to use a chemical. You don't have to use anything. Don't use an eraser. Just rub it off. All right, and that's basically what we're going to do with this. Now, there's two different kinds that I have here. I tend to like this one. It's like for whatever reason, the crayon is softer. But these are the kind where you pull the string and you unravel it and you release the grease. It's a very soft and black marker, but I don't even know. It's like a crayon, but the really soft crayon. Now, I want you to look at the edge of this book, because this is all that you have to do. You're going to take this China marker, and you're just going to rub it. Look at this. Rub it across the book. Rub it on. Rub it along the edge. Look, goodbye. Goodbye, discoloration. It already looks better. Look at this, okay? This is not any kind of artistic thing. I'm just rubbing it. Rub it across, rub it across. Now, here's that crack I was talking about. Rub on it. It disappears, but if you hold it on the light, you can see. You see that? I don't know if I'm at the right angle. I'm going to rub it here along the edge. I'm just doing this quick for time reasons. Okay, and here goes another. Oh, sometimes they pull it up.
Reading crease.
Reading crease, okay. Now, I'm going to take this same paper towel, take a piece off, and I'm going to rub that off. Now, remember what I told you about the pencils, when there's a shiny surface, the shiny surface gives, and then the color stays just on the paper. And look at this. Okay, this is how we started. Come on. Can't find my picture now. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is what we started with. And this is what we ended with. And what did it take me with that? And I didn't even really try to do the corners, but this is undetectable. It won't rub off. It won't rub on your fingers because we wiped it off. We wiped the excess off, and it stays on the corner. And you just improved the look of this book, right? Pretty cool. And you could apply this anything that's black if you have a box or anything. Another tip I want to share with you is if you ever have a book that's laminated, right? How many times have you had a book that's laminated and the lamination peels off and it has this like haze over it, and it looks terrible basically. What I found is the best way to clean that haze: Vaseline. That's right, Vaseline. Don't scream at me. It works. It works great. I've been using it many years. A little dab on a paper towel. You rub it on. Again, put a piece of paper between. You rub it on. Tiny bit. A little bit goes a long way. Use another plain piece of paper towel to wipe it off. And you're good to go. Now, last thing before we go. Dan's trick. Dan's trick is with cocked hardcovers. If you ever had a book that's cocked like this, cock spine, pain in the neck, you can try shoving it back, but it always wants to fall this way, okay? Dan's trick, foolproof, again, no special ability, just full technique. He takes the book, right, flips it over, and one by one, you're going to take each page and you're going to push it back. Now, I'm not going to do each page because that will take a while. You got to go one by one. I'm going to try to do bunches and see if I can still get the same effect for you. Again, he did it one by one, and
this is only
this is the abridged version.
Only for hardcovers, not paperbacks.
And there you go. It's fixed. And I really didn't do a good job. He would not be happy with the job I just did. But Dan's trick for fixing a cock spine on a paperback was to put it in the microwave 2-second increments. 2-second increments loosened up the glue, and then he just molded it with his fingers to where he wanted it, and he held it and blew on it until it was cool, and he fixed cock spines that way. So again, if you're gonna try to fix a book, get yourself, don't do it on your best book. Do a little at a time. Get yourself some watercolor pencils. Watercolor pencils, they come from different companies. Shadler, I think, yeah, like Faber, Castle. A lot of companies make them. Go to Michael's, it's cheaper there. 89 cents. Sometimes they do 2 for $1 when they're on sale. These work the best, I find. Get yourself a set of very thin brushes. Don't be afraid to experiment. Try them on books that you don't care about, or when you go to a flea market now, look for a book, anything that's in bad condition. It's fun to look for something that's in bad condition because, you know, you're not going to find it. That was my thing. Like, I would go, okay, I want to try a new technique. I'm going to find a sticker pull, and then I couldn't find one with a sticker pull. But, yeah, try Vaseline. It doesn't affect the book. I've had books 20 years that I cleaned with Vaseline. They're beautiful. They don't change. I don't care what happens when I'm dead. And then, when you're really good, see this book, Callie, that we fixed? Callie's my maiden name. I found these books, and I changed the name to my maiden name, Callie, and I gave them to my family for Christmas. So, you can do a lot with books if you practice and you play and you're not afraid to make a mess. Go for it, and I hope this helps somebody. And that's the end of me. Goodbye. You won't see me again. Thanks for watching. If you like this, give us a thumbs up, and you'll see Gary next time.